Welcome to Aspire to Retire. I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. I am here with Ralph and Tim Short, along with Scott Earhart, all from Welcome Home Financial Partners. Good to be here with you guys.
Good to be here. Thanks for having us as always.
Always love seeing you guys. And we've got so much to talk about today. We hear a lot about exercise and being physically fit. But my goodness, what about your financial wellness? Financial wellness allows you to achieve true financial peace of mind. So that's important, just like being physically fit and healthy. And I've heard you guys say that we can build a secure financial future and achieve our financial goals and dreams through smart money management and practical budgeting. So it sounds easy, but there's a lot of work that goes into that. Just like going to the gym, it requires a lot of work. So explain the fundamental importance of budgeting and financial wellness in achieving one's financial goals.
Well, Cheryl, it all starts with the budget, right? It all starts with, as we're building our nest egg for retirement, we're not spending too much. Once we do get to retirement, we're not blowing the nest egg that we built. And we do that, or we help people do that, through realizing, as you said, a practical budget. We're going to sit down, we're going to talk about everything that you could possibly spend money on, whether it's your mortgage, all the way down to groceries, cell phone bills. How much are you paying for subscriptions? I mean, a lot of people don't think about the Netflix bill, things like that. We're going to dial it in so you know exactly what you're spending, where that money's going, and hopefully help you achieve what you want in retirement.
What about those gifts, though, Scott? You forgot about that. You know, Christmas, we were just kind of talking about that.
Oh, what do you want for Christmas? What are you saying there? What are you saying?
Yeah, so anyway, but I think the biggest thing people need to understand is you have to have a plan to have financial wellness.
Yeah.
If you just can't operate it from the seat of your pants and say, oh, I'm going to do one day, not worry about it today. Would you agree?
Yeah, and you talk about smart money management. A lot of people think, hey, I'm making $200,000 a year. I've got a plan, right? I make good income. But are you saving money?
Right.
What's your debt to income ratio look like? There's so many things that come into it. And if you're making a six-figure income and you haven't started saving, or you're not saving enough to continue your spending habits, then you're not going to be able to retire the way that you want to. And a lot of people have to really have that serious conversation. And we say everything's serious and everything sounds daunting, but we, try to make it as fun as we can. If your spending habits are bad now, are they going to still be bad in retirement? More than likely, yes. So that's where you need to really take a good hard look. Once you get in that retirement red zone, once we get close to retirement, we really need to take a look at these variables.
But it is a job. It is work that you have to do.
Just like going to the gym.
Just like going to the gym, because it just doesn't happen because you wish it to happen. Would you say so?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if only it were that simple. So when it comes to planning, you also need to have an emergency fund, because there are things in life that are unforeseen that happen. And so how can viewers start building that emergency fund? Because they're probably thinking, my goodness, it's hard enough to save for retirement. Now I got to save an emergency fund too. How do they do it all?
They just have to have a plan. So one of the things that we talk to people about is, how much do you spend on a monthly basis? Start with thinking about having 3 to 6 months of your expenses sitting in an account where, in case something happened to you, and this is not because you need an extra pair of shoes, Cheryl.
Oh, what are you saying? Hold on a second.
Okay, just so you'll know, it's for in case you have a disability because you fell at work, or you had a car wreck, or all of a sudden your wife goes in labor and you have to take off time and you don't have any time for paid off. So that's what emergency funds are for, those big ticket items. Or like the client I saw yesterday, he's having to think about a $12,000 expense for taking a tree out of the river where his river house is.
$12,000?
So those are things that you don't expect in a budget, but those are emergencies.
But 3 to 6 months, people hear that and they go, that's impossible.
Well, a lot of people don't think about it because they don't realize what their monthly expenditures are. That's part of why we talk about doing the budget, completing the roadmap. We're going to show you exactly what you're spending in a given month, and then we can talk to you about what you would need in an emergency fund. A lot of times people think they're spending way more than what they actually are, but sitting down and actually looking at the numbers helps them realize, okay, this is more attainable than what I thought.
And there's a lot of things you can trim back, right? So there's a lot of things that people are actually putting their money into monthly that they don't need to. And instead of not having any money in savings and only contributing to their 401k, hey, instead of that $200 or $300 every Saturday night where we're going out to a nice restaurant, maybe we can throttle that back and go twice a month instead of 4 times a month. So that right there could be $400 or $600 into your savings account. So it's not as hard as people may think it is, but it all goes back to the budget.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say is there's a lot of people will come in and we go through our process of the roadmap, and all of a sudden we would say to them, you've got $2,000 a month extra at the end of the month. And they look at me and said, no, I don't. It's just all I can do to pay bills. I said, all right, then the numbers that you gave me could not be correct. So now you need to go back through and just make sure, because if you've got $2,000 a month extra, $1,000 a month, what are you doing with it?
Well, what would I do with it? No, okay, I know. I know I would have to save it. I know that's what we're supposed to do. But how big should an emergency fund be? How do you know what percentage of your income? I know you say 3 to 6 months, but what's realistic?
It really depends on that individual, wouldn't you say? I mean, I've talked to one client that said her emergency fund, she needed it to be, and she's upset that she doesn't have this. And I asked her what it was. She said, my goal is to have $500,000 in emergency fund. I looked at her like, what? And she said, I've got $496,000 saved, so I'm
Really?
short. Yeah, and I'm like, what kind of emergency are you having? That's just what I want. I said, okay, that's
Wow.
fine. It's individual, so.
Yeah, and it's important too, because I'm a big advocate for disaster preparedness. So I think about natural disasters, hurricanes, things like that you want to have that emergency kit and that fund for. But it looks like you guys wanted to say something
Yeah,
too.
well, there's a big difference between distinguishing an emergency fund and just having investments that you can liquidate
Yeah.
if something were to happen.
Right.
So you don't want to have $500,000 in the bank because, number one, the bank's not going to pay you a whole lot of money, plus the money's not insured to $500,000 at the bank. If you've got money in another investment vehicle, not an IRA, but that will be liquid for you whenever you need it. So if you've got, let's say, $30,000 in the bank and you needed $15,000, maybe you could pull some from one and maybe some from the other. But there's different ways of doing it. A lot of people, it comes down to the comfortability level with the money in the bank, and comfortability sometimes it gets in your own way. If you've got $100,000 sitting in the bank and it's making you maybe 2%, maybe even 3% in the rise of interest rates, but on the other side, maybe you could be making a lot more than that. You got to make that money work for you, so maybe we can shift some money over and make it work a little bit better.
Yeah, you're right, because you're not making much just with it sitting in a savings account these days.
Right.
Oh, I hate that. Oh. All right, we've got a special offer I want to get to before the break. Tell us about it, Tim.
Yeah, we do, Cheryl. So the first 10 callers who save $250,000 or more, pick up your phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love to invite you into the office where we'll create your very own retirement roadmap for you. You can also scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen. And Cheryl, the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
We always love that deal. And that QR code, we love that too, on the bottom of your screen. Scan that. If you don't feel like picking up the phone, just scan it, make an appointment. Or if you do want to be chatty, you can call as well. So we're going to open up those phone lines. Would you like some personal advice about retirement planning and more? Call that number on your screen. That is 833-897-4845. Coming up next, we're going to talk more about how to maintain a budget. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Stay with us.
Imagine the future you've been wanting all along. A world where your retirement income is covered and you don't have to worry. Your financial assets are protected, and you have an experienced team fighting every day to grow your assets. Imagine a company creating tax strategies and legacy plans to make sure your loved ones are protected no matter what happens. At Welcome Home Financial Partners, we're an experienced financial team with the right professional licenses and an unbreakable commitment to making our clients feel like family. Here you'll find determined, friendly faces in a world filled with obstacles and problems. We help plan your retirement income to ensure you won't run out of money in retirement. We build in protection to make sure your assets are covered on all sides. We focus on growing your wealth to combat inflation and rising cost of living. And we design tax strategies to help you avoid paying back what you shouldn't while protecting the people you love. Our team never stops fighting for you. With an unparalleled work ethic, we work hard because we know your future depends on it. We're proud to help you choose the life you want to live in retirement. Welcome to your financial future. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. We're talking all about budgeting. Budgeting always gives me a little bit of goosebumps because I'll admit it, guys, I don't like to budget, but I know you have to when it comes to preparing for retirement and planning. So let's talk about this. When you want to budget, can you explain the concept of paying yourself first and how it benefits financial wellness? How do you pay yourself first? Tell me that's okay.
Well, that is okay for you to do. So the thing that you
Okay.
need to understand is you have to pay Uncle Sam taxes, right? You have to pay the grocery bill. You have to pay all the electric bills and all the other things that you have. But why not take part of the money that you produce from your income and pay $100, $200 to you in an account that it's just for you, just like you would a regular bill, because
Yeah.
that way, believe it or not, if you're young, it doesn't take a lot to get that big sum of money in retirement, or you need to start doing something now, whether you're 20, whether you're 40, or whether you're 50. You've got to start doing something and pay yourself first. Because don't you think you're just as important as the IRS?
Oh, for sure, more so.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the concept
Yeah.
of paying yourself
And
first.
the key to that is doing it first, right when you get your paycheck, when you receive your working earnings, you take that money right off the top. You don't wait until the end of the month to do it, because guess what? A lot of us are going to go and buy a new pair of shoes or something of that
What is
nature.
this with the shoes today? What is this?
Or those lattes at Starbucks.
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
I will say, have you seen my closet? I do have a lot of shoes. So you guys win. I'm not bad at the coffee, though. I drink black coffee at home, so I'm okay there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
see, I'm budgeting already. Budgeting. But let me ask you guys a question. Do you go to the gym? Do you work out?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. Well, see, so I'm saying sometimes, just like some of us like to save for retirement, sometimes. Do you think it needs to be all the time?
It does.
So should you work out all the time?
I should.
Oh, I just switched this point of view. Okay, so we're talking about setting financial goals to help us stay motivated and stay on the financial wellness journey. Just like we set physical goals, what about financial goals? What are some things that we can set that are realistic?
Well, it's going to vary from person to person and what they want. A lot of what we do when we work with clients, they come in and they expect us to talk just simply about dollars and cents. But we're going to talk a lot about what are your lifestyle goals? What do you want to do in retirement? What do you want to achieve? And if we know that, if we know what those goals are and they're identified, we can help you create a plan to achieve those and use a budget, use a savings vehicle to make those dreams come to fruition.
And it's no pain, no gain, like they say when you go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of pain in budgeting, right?
Yeah, but I would say that they need to have a plan, because it's easier to think about saving $50 out of every paycheck going towards, say, a Christmas club. That's what a lot of people are looking at. What about putting $100 towards maybe a new card 5 years down the road?
Right.
So you don't have to have an $80,000 loan to buy that next car that you're going to buy, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key thing about budgeting and paying yourself first. You've got to be motivated. You got to be a reason at the end of the day why you're doing it.
Right, and the reason at the end of the day is no matter who you are, there's something you want to do in retirement. Everybody's retirement is going to look different. I heard a phrase the other day that I really liked. It's called the desirement years, right? Because we desire to get there and we want to do those dreams that we want to do, whatever it is, whether it's travel, whether it's just hang out at home, whether it's grandkids, whether it's golf, whatever it is, it's going to cost you money. If you're not doing your due diligence, if you're not going to have a plan, if you're not going to go through the pain and gain, what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. Nowadays, everybody's earning more money than ever before, right? But everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. Nobody is
Yes,
saving
right.
for their retirement. And they just keep kicking that can down the road. And eventually, you're going to have to start at some point. If you're 40, if you're 50 years old and you still haven't started, it's going to take you a lot more for you to save in order to accomplish those retirement dreams. Now, if you're 20 or 30, it's a lot more efficient at that point in time because it's a lot less that you have to save. So there's so many different situations out there, but at the end of the day, no matter who you are or what stage of life you're in, it's going to cost you money to do the things you want to do in retirement.
Now, for a lot of people, when you talk money, it brings up a lot of stress and anxiety. I think it just happens. It's like talking about religion and politics on Thanksgiving at the dinner table. You know, it's something that just brings everybody. No, don't do that. So it brings all of us.
There's a little bit more anger in that, more than anxiety.
There might be some of that,
Yeah.
but stress, anxiety comes with a lot of this money talk. So, what are some strategies our viewers can use to reduce financial stress and anxiety?
Start planning. Start saving that money, because let me ask you a question. Is it going to be stressful for you today to save $50, $100, whatever it is on a pay period, or not having enough money in your retirement to pay for groceries?
Ugh.
So which is more stressful to you?
Well, yeah, not having money for groceries for sure.
So those are things that you need to be aware of. You've got to take action, like we've always talked to people about.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that action should be sitting down with a financial professional. Put somebody on your team to help you achieve those goals. Hire someone like us to help you create that budget and work towards those goals, and that's going to check in with you, that's going to call you, that's going to make sure you're still on the track. And also, those goals that you had 5 years ago, are they the same today? We'll help you manipulate that and help you work towards that.
And everybody stresses about different things, right? We're all married here, and the spouses are always going to stress about something different than we do.
True.
So is your stress level really about the stock market? Are you worried about losing your money? If so, there are things out there that we can help you do to make sure that you've got that nest egg for your retirement dreams. Are you stressed about Social Security going away, right? There's always these rumors, there's always, you know, the naysayers, there's always the doom and gloom. Is there a way that we can formulate an income plan for you to, if Social Security does diminish or go down in benefit or completely goes away, which I don't think is going to happen, can your income plan outlive you? So
Right.
you've got to make sure whatever is your pain right now, whatever your stress level is, whatever you're really have the anxiety for, we can help you with that. But that's what you have to take action on, because you can't sit there. We're in the day and age where everybody complains and nobody wants to do anything about it. You've got to pick up the phone, give us a call, and we can help you. At the end of the day, we can listen to you and give you good education.
Yeah, one thing I did, tell me if this is good or not, is I decided to make automatic transfers into my IRA. Just every month, take X amount of dollars, throw it in there automatically. I don't even think about it. Is that something people should do if they can? I mean, obviously you don't want to go into the negative, but
Yeah, it's not a bad strategy, and it depends, you know, if they can't afford to. There are some people who just can't afford
Right,
to at this
right.
point. But maybe eventually they can. So once they can, absolutely. But it's the, you know, if I don't see it, it's not hurting me, right? It's all, and we always talk about taxation in retirement. Nobody thinks about taxation because the taxes come directly out of their paycheck. But hey, now they're creating their own paycheck and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I got to pay taxes. So those are all things that we talk about. And when it's not happening to you, when you don't see it, then it's not harming you.
yeah. And before we wrap it up here, what's a takeaway or a piece of advice you'd like to leave our viewers with regarding budgeting and achieving that financial wellness?
Take it seriously. Get started. Take action is the best advice I could give you. Start by giving us a phone call, scanning the QR code, sitting down with someone and creating that budget, working towards your goals.
But the other thing I would say is, even when you have a plan, understand life does throw certain curveballs at you on the next 20 to 30 years, so you got to be prepared for all that too.
And especially if you're doing it yourself, get a second opinion, right? So you might have been really good at building up this amount of money, but at this point in time in your life, if you're getting close to retirement, it's going to be different. So get a second opinion.
Second opinion is always good advice. And once again, Tim, that special offer before we go to commercial.
All right, so the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love for you to come into the office where we give you that second opinion. We'll give you the retirement roadmap, and best part is, Cheryl, it's complimentary.
Love that. And guys, it is time for that commercial break, but keep those questions coming. Take advantage of our professionals and call for advice right now. Once again, 833-897-4845. Or if you don't want to chat, scan the QR code and schedule your appointment. Coming up next, we will feature some of your burning questions. Stay right there.
It was the longest running bull market in history. Everything was looking up. While inverted yield curves pointed to a recession, the market kept going. And then, if you're planning to retire soon, that could spell bad news for your returns. Our team can help you better withstand the bear market. Now more than ever, you need a financial professional to stand with you. Visit our website to learn more about our services. You can call or email our office to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. Thanks so much for sticking around. It is our favorite part of the show, time to feature some of your burning questions. Let's start with Tammy from Glen Allen. Tammy says, I've never used a budget before, but I'm getting close to retirement. I'm concerned about living outside my means. What advice would you give to someone like me? Great question.
It is a really good question. So the biggest thing is you've got to sit down and take a look at a budget worksheet, and that's something we can help you with. Living outside your means different things to different people, right? Some people think it's a necessity that they have to go out and they have to shop every day, every weekend. They're spending, $200, $300, $400, $500 in clothes a weekend. It's all about the needs. We've got to cover the expenses, and then we kind of take it from there. So we've got to make sure that you have a good budget in place, because retirement that's going to be the key, because we have to have the income. Income is going to cover the expenses, and then we want some play money. So we've got to make sure we've got that.
Okay, good answer. Now, Mike from Mechanicsville. Mike knows that he's pretty healthy, so he's well physically, but how do I know if I'm well financially?
Well, my question for Mike would be, have you ever sat down with a financial professional and taken a look at your assets, your expenses, and talked about your retirement goals? That's how you know if you're financially well. Are you on track to get where you want to get in your life? That's how we define financially well, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get roped up into rates of returns and these kind of things, and they're always trying to chase the big returns, right? So if you create this retirement plan for somebody, and instead of chasing that 13% return that they're searching for, and instead their plan that we put together, they're okay with a 7% return, let's say, why are you chasing the 13%? So there are different things that you got to take a look at, and I think that's part of the wellness is that, hey, maybe you are a little bit too aggressive because your plan doesn't need to have that type of risk, because instead of getting 13%, what if you lost 20%?
Yeah.
So there are different things to take a look at, but going back to the budget, taking a look at your income, taking a look at your expenses, that's a big key.
But I think a lot of times people need to understand, if we can allow you to attain your goals financially, why is it worried about if you beat the stock market or if you beat your neighbor's 401k? It's all about you and what your goals are. So that's the thing that
That's
people
true.
need to understand.
Not a competition, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless it's with your wife, okay?
Yeah, well, then who's always right?
They are.
Oh, good answer.
Absolutely.
Trained well. All right, Jessica, I'm joking. Jessica from Colonial Heights says, the people I work with tell me that I cannot even consider retiring until I have $1 million saved. What do I do? What do I save?
Well, let me ask you this. How do they know what you need
Exactly.
in your retirement?
That was my question.
So a lot of people sit there and think they need to have $1 million, because guess why? They sit there and look on TV and somebody said over their head the $1 million mark, and all of a sudden they believe that, and it's not true. You need to understand, if you've only got $2,000 or $3,000 a month in expenses, you don't need $1 million to retire unless you're going to retire at age 50. Now, if you're on 50, you might need that, but it all depends on what your expenses are. Do not listen to a lot of the water cooler talk from the friends around the water cooler or neighbors, things like that. It's all about you and what you need, or the talking heads on TV.
Not
or
us.
Not us, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, you'll hear a lot of things on the media, and there's a lot of doom and gloom, and they're always trying to shift to whatever narrative they have. But the big thing is going to be, it's not about chasing the number. You've got to make sure that you've got the income. So if cash flow is not an issue, why does it really matter what that big number is? What if it is $1 million? What if it's $10 million? We don't know. But if you've got $2,000 worth of expenses and you've got $500,000 saved up, that might be okay for you, but it also depends on where you put your assets. If you put all your assets, let's say, into a hedge fund and it goes away, then maybe $500,000 isn't enough. So there's so many things that come into play. It's not just very cut and dry of, hey, okay, this is what I have, this is what I need to do. We really dive into detail and say, okay, based off what we see, based off the numbers, this is what we would recommend for you.
All right. Henry from Richmond says, I currently have $500,000 in my savings account at the bank for my emergency fund. Is that enough? I wish I had $500K in my emergency fund. We talked about this earlier.
We did talk about this earlier, and Henry, what my thought would be for you is that's probably a little too much, but we don't know that. We don't know that. It's all, again, it's all individualized. It's all based on what your budget is, what your goals, your aspirations. I keep saying that, but it's true. So what I'd say to Henry is it's probably too much, but I can't tell you that for certain. I would recommend give us a call. Let's sit down. Let's take a look, because maybe that needs to be 100,000 in there.
Right.
And I can guarantee you there's a lot better ways to earn more interest, make your money work for you, rather than sitting in a savings account where you're earning very, very low
You might invest
returns.
more of that.
Sure.
Yeah, to make
Sure.
more money
That's
off
possible.
of it.
And like we
Yeah.
talked about earlier, is you got to distinguish the emergency fund from just having liquid assets.
Right.
Right. If you've got $500,000 in the bank, that's one heck of an emergency, right?
Yeah.
What's going to cost you $500,000 of cash at one point in time?
Right.
That's a lot.
Unless
So-
they don't have health insurance, but I hope everybody has health
well,
insurance.
that's true too. And coming
Yeah.
from somebody who has injuries, I understand that.
Right.
But if you could take, a portion of that and make that money work for you, that's still liquid to you. So if a $500,000 emergency comes up, you still have some money in the bank and you still have the liquid assets available. But guess what? Those liquid assets should be producing more money than what the bank is offering.
All right, one more question. Tom from Verina says, the recent increase in prices for things like gasoline, groceries, it has me concerned, and I can feel it in my wallet. What advice would you give?
I didn't realize it was more expensive to live day in and day out these days.
It
Yeah,
is.
so inflation is always there. We just don't know at what percent. So the big thing is you've got to make sure that your portfolio, whatever you're currently doing, which we can help you with, is going to at least keep up with inflation, right? So you hear these numbers, this percentage, that percentage, you hear these indexes, that index. It's real life inflation is what I like to refer to, because groceries are up higher than gas. Gas could be up higher than other things. So you've got to make sure that your portfolio is going to at least keep pace with inflation.
All right, good answers there. Great questions as always. One more time, that offer before we go.
Yep, Cheryl. So for the first 10 callers who saved $250,000 or more for retirement, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love for you to come into the office where we'll personally sit down with you and create your very own retirement roadmap. And the best part is, Cheryl, we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
Smile.
There
with
we
the
go.
teeth. Aw, I wanted to see the teeth. All right, there it is. Yes, that wraps up today's show, guys. Thanks for joining us on Aspire to Retire. We're talking serious stuff, but we like to make it fun as well. Next time, we will discuss different investment strategies for all of us. If you'd like some advice, once again, call that number at the bottom of your screen or scan that QR code. On behalf of all of us at Aspire to Retire, I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. Have a great day.